Welcome to Alcohol Inks video lesson. Let's start with the materials we need. Blending solution, cups, empty bottle, inks of course. I have 3 colors today. You may have more and you could also have other shades. There are napkins and alcohol. Okay, now let's put everything aside for a little while. Of course, we need air pump. Let's lay cover material and prepare the workplace. This simple absorbent sheet will provide reliable protection from paint on the table. Today I will be combining graphic with inks. That's a very popular flower print. We need to emphasize the shape and add color. In this case, the composition is easy for us. The graphic is already a balanced center. Well, let's begin. We need to clean our paper from dust. At this point, you have to put on gloves. I recommend that you wear them during your work because inks don't wash out well. We take a regular isopropyl alcohol and clean the paper. I use regular napkin. Okay, now let's put the napkin aside, we will need it later. Now I need cups. I have 3 colors, so I take 3 cups. I use reusable cups. Here we go. I take the shade of wine A24. I make just a few drops and add about 4 times the amount of blending solution. It will be enough to mix it like this. The next 2 shades contain pigment. It is pastel ink and gold. You need to shake them a lot. There is a metal ball inside the bottle that helps you to blend everything. If the ball is not bouncing in the bottle, you need to slightly tape the bottle on the table as the ball could stick to the vial. Then shake it again. And pour some bronze into it, just the same way. Bronze and gold contains popping particles that create awesome effects. I will show you soon. And add about 5 times the amount of blending solution. I think it will be enough. The gold looks amazing. It's better to shake the bottle again as the pigment settles quickly. I now add pastel shade and also add blending solution to it, about 3 times more. Remember, the inks is quite concentrated and must be diluted before using it. For your convenience, it's better to pour blending solution into easy-to-use bottle. Let's put aside everything that is not needed. Place the tools in the convenient way on the right side. Don't forget about air pump. And start working. I always start from the dark spots, which is the starting point of the work on composition. I pour over the most contrasting shade and add some blending solution. I have poured 2 spots and now need to dry them. You can leave them as they are, they will dry on their own, or you can dry by shape, controlling the process. I dry around the wet paints so it doesn't spread. That's how I control the shape. If you start to move the pump chaotically, you can get holes or stains, but we don't want that. It's very good to pour out random spots and dry them to practice working with the pump. The process is not quick. I have poured large puddles and it takes some work now. When everything is dry, I can continue. I create a new piece. I take blending solution and pour it on the dry pattern. Then I slightly blend the paper, forcing the paint to flow where I need it. Blending solution easily dilutes the previous layer and color. Now I fix the piece by drying it out to start shaping the new fragment. I dry it in the circular motion, rolling the paint back and forth while lifting the paper. It's a good time to add a new color. I shake it a bit in the cup and add pastel color, then bronze. Then I move the paint around again. In some place I dilute the previous layer. This should be done very carefully so that the paint does not spill out in all directions. You can also add gold directly from the tube. We shake the bottle well and make only one drop in the paint spot. Next, I need to lift the pigment with the finger, as I do in this video. Otherwise, the pigment will settle in a stain. I told you, it's better to dilute in the cup. The spot is big, so I need to dry it a lot. The main thing is to create a shape so that the paint doesn't run away and you can dry it easily. Look how nicely I create the gold line. I just painted back on the already dry piece and next I need to fix it. I notice that my shape is already set, but the paint is still out of control and is spreading around, all because it's too much of it. So I decided to soak the excess paint with a napkin in the place of this concentration. It's important not to do it too much, so that there's not empty spots in the middle. The paint should just flow into the empty spots, or you can help it out a little bit. I dry around all over the shape. Here I do the same thing again with the edge, clinging the gold stripe to the dry part of the pattern and fix it, drying it with a pump. Remember, always dry on the edge. Do not blow into the middle, otherwise there will be a bad result. I think that's a good exercise for your fingers. When the fragment is dry, I decide to make it slightly lighter. For me it's too heavy and lacks the necessary lightness. I pour the blending solution and wash away the excess with napkin. Again I pour blending solution to form a new fragment, working in the same way. Blending solution does its job. So let's add the gold. The gold and paint with blending solution need to be rolled from the side to side to mix evenly. It's very easy to direct the excess paint and blended solution away from the paper or collect it with a tissue paper. I press the paper from the edge with my finger so that the paint falls into the absorbent sheet and dry the fragment. The principle is the same. I fix the shape around the edges and dry it gradually. I accelerated the video so that nobody falls asleep. I hope you don't mind. At this stage we can stop, but I will continue so that you repeat the information and get more inspired. This piece is too heavy. It can be completely wiped out with alcohol, or you can continue the composition with a new fragment. I decide to continue. So I pour blending solution, wipe off the excess paint with a napkin and more blending solution again. Now I form a new fragment and add in some bronze. It's important to roll over the paint and control the shape. Otherwise, the edges may be uneven or the ink may begin to dry in spots. I move the paint also to make beautiful edges. Edges always create volume and add variety to the shape. If it's not even, it's easy to correct with a finger, like I'm doing now. When you put the paint back that way, you make sure it doesn't flow in all directions. That is why I like to work with a pump. That's more time to maneuver and you can think while you work. With the dryer you have to rush, and when you rush, it doesn't come out the way you want it to. I decide to add another piece and show you an example with the dryer. This time I have to blur the picture with my finger to make the paint blend and lay evenly. And don't be afraid to do that if you see that blending solution isn't diluting it enough. I have a Babyliss dryer like this. It has a power of 400 watts. This is a low power dryer. I work with the same way around the wet spots as I did with the pump. But even a low power drying is too much for such a small format. Everything dries quickly and I don't have time to make the edges, so I'm going to use a pump to dry nicely. With the dryer, it's already drying unevenly somewhere, and it's all because it's so fast. That's okay, we can fix it now. I usually combine the dryer and a pump. On large formats, I work only with the dryer, and I use pump on small size or when I work with small details. I like the result. And you? Click the like button and follow us to get inspiration and even more creative ideas. Bye!